Welcome to this edition of our program, Daily Debate. I guess yesterday was the last day of Eid al-Fitr, so I hope everybody has enjoyed the vacation and the feast, and a happy Eid al-Fitr for all Muslims around the globe. Today we'll be speaking about two important segments. The first one would be about the Russian-Ukraine reflection and how the consequences reflect on Europe at large, and how it warns of social unrest. This as the Russian-Ukraine conflict enters its third consecutive month with no sign to a breakthrough or a truce anytime soon. The entire European continent is bearing the brunt of the crisis, also against the backdrop of an economic slowdown, supply chain disruption, and weak consumer morale after the world pandemic, or the global pandemic, COVID-19. We'll be speaking about that in our first segment. Our second segment will be speaking about a very important new presidential initiative. We'll speak at then. Before we delve into our discussion, let me first welcome our guest over the phone, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Bayoumi, good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you so much, and a happy Eid al-Fitr for you and your beloved family.
Ya Rab, for you, for the television, and for the whole Egyptian
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, we have been following up with the repercussions, or the how the Russian-Ukraine crisis reflects on the whole world, but particularly Europe has more to bear from this crisis. How do you view how this war is reflecting on Europe?
Unfortunately, we are witnessing a very dangerous game. And behind the scene, we have the fear of a nuclear war. And of course, a nuclear war is impossible because each side is highly threatening the other. There isn't what we can call in the military experience or expression, the first strike. Each country, whether it is Atlantic or the Russian, can keep the second strike. So theoretically, according to the economists, if Russia started with a nuclear strike, they can kill 120 million Americans. Then the Americans will respond immediately by killing 100 million Russians. So no winner in such a silly war. So that's why you can witness that there are those small wars here and there everywhere in the world, but no world war, because it's much more than any country can afford.
Yes, but here we are speaking much about the economy. And
yes,
because the economy is another battlefield, and it's very important for nations. And we're speaking about the future of nations at large. We're speaking about the livelihood of nations. Here in many parts of Europe, there is this rising energy prices, the subsequent inflation, the food security, and the food chain. How do you view how Europe, in particular, has been very much affected by this war?
Yes, the first problem is, of course, the supplies of energy. And now we can understand the worries of President Reagan in the 80s about Europe depending on the energy coming from Russia. And here we are, that they want to boycott Russia, but they cannot boycott the gas or the oil coming from Russia. So you can feel there is a sort of challenge and differences between one European country and the other. The main European country who is depending on the Russian gas is Germany. So Germany is trying to tackle the problem in a way to keep continuing receiving the gas from Russia. Same time, Russia is trying to escalate and answering the penalties which was imposed by the NATO and the Americans by stopping dealing with Russia within the international monetary system. Russia now is asking everybody to pay for their exports by the ruble. It's getting more and more complicated. By the way, in economic terminology, it won't be different. I will pay in a sort of any currency, buying the rubles, then I will buy the rubles to the Russian government. But it is a sort of escalation. I think that all the parties are responsible for this. They are pushing the world towards a sort of tension. We don't need this. So you realize immediately the reflection of this on the economic, the world economy, especially in the field of gas and energy, and in the field of food and cereals and those sorts of commodities.
Right.
But yeah.
Yes, please continue.
Yes, but thank God that in Egypt we are a little bit satisfied.
But before we go to Egypt, here I have to speak more about how this whole issue is really reflecting globally, and we're speaking about ever since this conflict erupted, and the whole West, including definitely the Eurozone countries, have been imposing several rounds of sanctions in order to cripple the Russian economy. However, that came at the backdrop of the European economy. It has jeopardized the overall European economy. We're speaking here about the rise in fuel, and how would that reflect on the livelihood of Europeans? We're speaking about the food chain, particularly that Russia and Ukraine are the biggest exporters of wheat.
Yes, but I want to assure you that sometime we have a different problem, that we have surplus of wheat and food that they are asking us to buy it. Whenever we want to buy wheat, you can buy it from France, from England, from Germany is a good supplier, Romania, and this part of the world. So I think that we shouldn't exaggerate about this problem, especially for our region and especially for Egypt. But of course, this will affect partially the prices, and we can live with it. Another thing I want to say here, that no economic penalty affects anybody in the world. We have witnessed in the 50s how the whole Western countries were against China, and they're putting sort of boycotting China, and they didn't deal with it. Now China is the largest partner to United States. So the boycotting is not an answer to any economic problem. But we have to live with those troubles for some time, especially that, as I'm trying to say, that you do not have one European opinion there, because part of Europe is affected by the opinion of the United States, and the others are trying to have their own opinion, such as France or Germany. Yeah. When we talk with the Europeans sincerely, they confess to you that they have a very good economic organization, but they are very weak concerning security and political matters, and they depend totally on the umbrella of the United States concerning the coverage of the defense.
Finally here, sir, and I only have few minutes for this segment, only 2 minutes. Can we say that the conflict is a proxy one between the United States and Russia, which is being fought in Europe and for which Europeans are paying a heavy price? And to which extent do we really need this or all sides to come to reason for the nations and the whole world?
I think Europe, America, and the NATO in general played cleverly when Russia stopped the policy concerning the communism, and they started to have free economy. And they adopted Russia as a member of the G7, became G8. That was good, but unfortunately it did not continue. Now they expel Russia from the G8 to be again G7, and they do not wait to keep in mind that Russia, after all, now is not Russia of Yeltsin and Gorbachev. It's much stronger.
Yes, yes.
So I can feel lately that each side try to take a step back, not to continue the conflict. But it's a matter of who will prove that he is stronger. So we shall see this for the coming few weeks.
Yes,
and
remains to be seen.
A sort of solution to satisfy most of the players.
Indeed. Indeed. Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Before we start with our second segment, let me first have this quick report on Russia-Ukraine conflict reflect harshly on Europe, warning of social unrest. Let's watch.
The Russian-Ukrainian war is now in its third month, and it continues to impact many nations in numerous fronts: energy security, food security, climate change mitigation, and even geopolitics. It is worth noting that when Russia invaded Ukraine on the 24th of February this year, the world was already struggling with high prices of goods, including energy and food, as the world struggled to re-establish supply chains interrupted by 2 years of COVID pandemic. The International Monetary Fund warned of severe economic consequences for Europe from the Russian-Ukrainian war and has slashed its economic growth estimates, noting that the war is a serious setback to Europe's economic recovery. Spiking energy and food prices are now cutting deeply into household consumption, and economic uncertainty is poised to restrain investment. Several major economies, such as France, Germany, Italy, and the United Kingdom, are projected to barely expand or even contract for 2 straight quarters this year. Germany is among the hardest hit, with its energy-intensive large manufacturing sector and export-oriented economy. Over the past 6 months, economists have halved the 2022 economic growth forecast for Germany, while inflation expectations are 3 times higher. Outside the EU, the UK economy nevertheless suffers from similar energy price pressures and flattening growth this year, following what is forecast to be the largest drop in real income since records began in the 1950s. However, in the United Kingdom, high prices of imported goods are coupled with a tight labor market that raises the prospect of a more persistent high inflation. The grim turn of events over the past month has inevitably raised the much-dreaded specter of stagflation, a period characterized by economic stagnation, high inflation, and high unemployment. All major European economies, except Spain, are forecast to show around zero growth in the middle of this year, with some falling into recession, defined as 2 consecutive quarters of economic decline. EU officials have sought to reassure citizens that food supplies are guaranteed, but that medium-term responses are needed to avoid shortages. The European Commission has urged citizens to drive less, turn their heating and air conditioning down, and work from home 3 days a week to reduce reliance on Russian oil and gas and save households close to €500 on average. Altogether, the food crisis, the power crunch, the supply chains collapse, and the overall trade disruption precipitated by the Ukraine war presage a long, arduous path for the European economy, where high inflation is no longer a temporary dilemma, as many had anticipated before the invasion, and instead becomes a challenge for the long haul, pushing the ECB's 2% target into an uncertain, distant future.
Well, welcome back and to our next segment, which is also as important as the first one. And this new presidential initiative, the National Project for the Development of the Egyptian Family. And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has held a meeting with a number of ministers, of course with the Prime Minister and a number of ministers, to follow up on this national program for rural women pioneers and the National Project for the Development of the Egyptian Family. The project is based on several axes related to economic empowerment, specifically for women, through realizing the financial independence, job provision and social services, interventions with the aim of training and qualifying medical staff, arranging. That is definitely in arrangements with the NGOs and the civil society organizations. That initiative is as important as the past very important presidential initiatives that were launched during the past 8 years, the most important of which so far was the Decent Life. Let me highlight this new presidential initiative with my dear guest, Mr. Mohammed Amer, International Coordinator of the Youth Conference, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on board. It's a privilege.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is all ours.
Thank you.
And if we start, shall I start with identifying what is the National Project for the Development of the Egyptian Family, so people would really understand?
Of course. So since day one, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has been calling for encouraging the role of civil society organizations. One of the main players of such organizations is females or women, as we had His Excellency has been focusing on this throughout his term, first and second term. So speaking of numbers, we have 50 million females in Egypt. So you are typically half of the society, as they always tell us. So I think that focusing on this plays a major role in enabling and encouraging further players on social integration in Egypt. So I think this is a very important initiative to be launched. This goes in line with other and further initiatives launched by the presidency itself.
Here you spoke about this important initiative that we are speaking about, which is the National Program for Community Pioneers.
Yes,
particularly women.
Women, yes, focusing mainly on women, yes, of course, because you have, you know that females, especially females, have been suffering from long years of marginalization and infamous social injustice. So I think half of the society, it's imperative to live in a society that half of it suffers from such problems. So I think it's time for them to take the rules. And you can see that women now can take a lot of and hold a lot of positions. They are governors, they are ministers, and most recently there have been an initiative for judges, for female judges to, so you can see women now sitting on court for the first time in our history. I think this is a larger initiative that we have never seen before.
Yes. But this time we're not speaking about empowering women to be put into certain positions.
Yes.
But we're speaking about empowering them in other ways in order to
Yes.
contribute more to the society. And we're speaking about very common women. We're speaking about
Yes.
women in villages. We're speaking
Yes.
about women in urban areas. We're speaking about the whole Egyptian
Yes,
family.
society, yes.
The whole Egyptian family has been of much focus to the state.
Yes.
The state has been trying as much as possible to raise awareness of how this Egyptian family can be empowered
Of course.
to be able to contribute to their communities.
Of course.
How do you view that? How or how does this national project for Egyptian family development
Yes.
work?
Okay, so we have two main pillars to focus on. We have two initiatives. The first initiative and the biggest one is Haya Karima, Decent Life, and the other one is the development of the Egyptian family. They both integrate together in order to develop the concept of the Egyptian family. So we're focusing on two main projects, social project and an educational project. Social goes with providing job opportunities for females, for males as well. And the other one is developing the education and the quality of education. By the way, those main goals go online with the Sustainable Development Goals, the international ones, especially you can say like goal number 4 and goal number 5 in the UN agenda for 2030. So we are totally committed with this. So we are domesticating the initiative here in Egypt, and we are globalizing the initiatives worldwide.
You mean that we are going online with
Of
the
course.
global agenda
Yes, of course.
of the Sustainable
So
Development
you
of
are
the
developing
UN?
yourself internally and externally as well.
Yes, indeed we are. Before I go more, let me take this report.
Okay.
And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi follows up on the national project for the Egyptian family development, and we'll come back for more discussion.
مبادرة حياة كريمة هي محاولة مننا إن إحنا نعالج مسائل مزمنة في مناطق هي الأكثر فقراً على الإطلاق في بلدنا مصر، ونغيرها تماماً. ما يبقاش في بيت نسيبه، ما يبقاش في طريق نسيبه، ما يبقاش في صرف صحي ولا مية شرب لما ندخلها. لازم الدولة المصرية خلال السنتين 3 اللي جايين تبقى دولة تانية بما فيها القرى اللي احنا شغالين عليها.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held a meeting on Sunday with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and a number of concerned ministers and officials to discuss developments of the Egyptian Families National Project. Khalid Abdel Ghaffar, Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research and Acting Minister of Health and Population, Hala Said, Minister of Planning and Economic Development, Mohammed Maït, Minister of Finance, and Niveen Al-Qabbaj, Minister of Social Solidarity, and Maya Morsi, President of the National Council for Women, attended the meeting. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassam Radi said President El-Sisi followed up on developments of the National Program for Women Community Leaders and the National Project for the Development of the Egyptian Family. He added that the President instructed concerned officials to strengthen and support the role of NGOs and coordination mechanisms between them and the pioneer women system due to their impact and importance, as well as the formation of specialized working groups to study all common societal problems that they discover during their work on the ground. He also called for providing academic support for these efforts through universities located in the geographical scope of the work of pioneer groups in coordination and harmony with the state's initiatives in this regard, such as Egyptian family development and a decent life. The executive position of the National Project for the Development of the Egyptian Family was presented in its various axes and with the participation of all the competent agencies, as well as the geographical scope of the project. The project aims at an integrated development of all aspects of the lives of Egyptian families, as it is based on several axes related to economic empowerment, especially for women, through achieving financial independence and providing job opportunities and service intervention with the aim of training and qualifying medical staff and providing the necessary means to provide family planning services in cooperation with NGOs and civil society organizations. The President called for continuing coordination between all concerned parties to audit all details of the Egyptian Family Development Project before the launching of its first phase, in addition to monitoring and evaluating the project's results on a regular basis to achieve the desired results.
Right, welcome back. And back to you, Mr. Mohammed. And
Thank you.
I'll just quote the words of the President this
Okay.
time, of what we have just seen. And he, or this film depicted the life of families
Yes.
in urban areas,
Yes.
in rural areas.
Yes.
Those exactly were the words of the President, in which he said those
people, yes.
those people who did not get anything from the state would destruct the
Yes,
state.
of course, of course.
And hence came the importance of the presidential initiatives that have been initiated. And hence came the issue of raising awareness.
Yes, of course.
What does this mean? And why is it important to form groups in
Yes.
order to be able to get in contact with those people and clarify the situation and understand their problems for the country to go inside or to get into their status and put the appropriate solutions?
Yes, of course. Let me tell you a very important thing. In eras and times that there are no job opportunities and no money, there will be two major problems: ignorance and terrorism. Those sections of the society suffered from long years of marginalization and social injustice. Now it's time to avoid maybe futuristic problems concerning turning some people into terrorists, into thieves, into criminals, and getting them or integrating them into our society. I think this initiative has the main goal of this. We need to integrate those people into our society to make them good people, good citizens. This is the main objective of the initiative here. So we believe in our society as an integrated body, not as a scattered one. This is very important. This goes in line with further initiative, but this is the most important one right here. Providing them with quality education and providing them with quality life. They need to have much job opportunities. They need to have much better services. They need to have a much better life to enjoy. So we are going to make them one of us, integrated in our society, and make good citizens out of them.
When we speak here about providing the family
Yes.
with services,
Yes.
how do you view how the state has dealt with this issue? Because we're not speaking about infrastructure, we're not speaking
Yes.
only about providing job opportunities, but we're also speaking about the livelihood of people.
Of course.
We're speaking about the daily
The daily life.
the daily life
The daily
of
life
people,
citizens,
indeed.
of course. If you are going from one place to another, if you are going from your home to your work on a daily basis, you're going to need a road to walk on. So we are working on providing much better roads and streets. So this is one thing. Transportation, providing a much quality transportation for people. This is number two. Quality life also depends on economic states of the people. So developing economy is a much bigger problem right now, but we have a lot of precautionary procedures. So as you told us before the break, that we have some issues with the economy because of the Russian-Ukrainian war. I think we are not suffering so much from it because we have taken a lot of precautionary measures and procedures before it and even after it, for the sake of the Egyptian family, for the sake of the man, for the sake of the woman, for the sake of the children. Those are going to be the generations of the future.
You know, Mr. Mohammed, we're part of the globe.
Yes, of course.
And we have been
This is going to
through a
affect us,
lot,
yes,
a
of
lot,
course,
particularly
of
in the
course.
previous
Yes.
years,
Yes.
in order to reach what we are in today. But certainly we are affected in a way or another.
Yes.
But at least we're managing.
Yes, of course. We have,
And we are
we're going
managing
to
better
suffer,
than
yes.
even some
But
developed countries.
Much if you were suffering. We're going to deal with this in a way or another. We're going to suffer, but much fewer suffering than other countries, because self-prepared countries or previously prepared countries can do much better than other countries. We've taken further precautionary measures, such as stopping unnecessary imports, providing and encouraging exports. Most recently, numbers say that we have purchased, and the Egyptian Central Bank have purchased 44 tons of gold in order to decrease the dependency on US dollars. I think this goes for the benefit of the Egyptian family on the street. I think this is a globalized matter, this is an international matter, but it deeply affects the man on the street. I'm one of them, and we are all affected in prices, in rates, the daily life. Our daily lives are badly affected, but I think with some measures going to suffer much fewer than other countries.
That we have been way ahead with our reform programs in order to be able to
one part of this world,
to outstand what we are going through right now, but also we have to work.
Yes.
And hence came such initiatives in order to make this understood. I mean, here, yes, the state is working from one side, but the citizen himself has to work with the state in order to be able to overcome the situation. And here came the issue of, again, I'm stressing on raising awareness, because this is the main battle, the battle of awareness. If a citizen knows exactly what
he needs to do in the future, of course, because look at this. I work as a professor, and I always tell my students, my dear students, do not wait for the formal education or for the formal employment, because maybe you do not have it one day. You can collect your papers, your documents, and go to, for example, Ministry of Investment. You can open your own enterprise. You can open your own projects. The state is providing those projects with a lot of funding, a lot of money. So you can open your own business. I think providing the society with this much of awareness will change how people think of this. If you're going to think much better than all days people wait for the formal employment. I'm going to be an employee in the government and so on. We're not doing this anymore. We are depending on ourselves. This is the role of the social, of the citizens. This is the role of the citizens themselves. So the country plays its role, and then the citizens need to play their role as well. So with much awareness, with much dependency, I think we're going to have a much better life.
If we speak about the initiative and the initiative or the development of the Egyptian family initiative, along with the women pioneers, this is these initiatives are based on several axes, all related to economic empowerment. In which way?
Okay, let me tell you that from a man, this is a time of woman to aspire for a much better future, providing the females in homes with SMEs, with funding, with job opportunities. This is the biggest time to enjoy such leisure, such opportunities. We have different initiatives to increase the awareness of the Egyptian woman, and in a much bigger layer. We have seen like women having much bigger opportunities and positions. You can see a woman in the position of a minister, of a deputy minister, a governor, as a judge, etc. I think this goes for the higher layers of the society and for the lower as well.
Why I sense some envy from a man
Yes,
to a
of
woman.
course,
This is the era of a
because
woman.
as I told you, from a man to woman, this is your time.
Okay. If I may ask you here about linking or how is the state working to strengthen and support the role of the NGOs in order to work
Yes.
together with the state for the sake of those initiatives to come to life,
Yes.
in terms of the pioneer women
Yes,
system,
yes.
and in terms of mechanisms that would enable the success of the Egyptian
Yes,
family
that's
development.
because the Egyptian presidency itself believes in the importance of integrating NGOs in the social society and believing in the importance of their role and the role they play in providing much better quality and much better quality education opportunities for the future. And we have a lot of thinkers, we have a lot of leaders in our society.
Yes.
They need to extract their own ideas and thoughts and provide the country with it. So the country plays its main role, and then we need to depend on the society itself. So we have NGOs, we have parties, we have several actors and players in the society. I think they can play a much bigger role in the future.
I guess the President has announced the year 2022, the year for the civil society.
organizations,
Indeed.
of course.
Unfortunately, my time is out here, and
you
I
so
have
much.
to end it here. Mr. Mohammed Amer, International Coordinator of the Youth Conferences, we thank you so much for
Thank you
being
so
with
much.
us tonight.
It's a privilege. Thank you so much. Good night.
The pleasure is
Thank
all
you.
ours. And dear viewers, many thanks for watching. Next Daily Debate would be on Sunday with another important topic and another colleague. Good night.